Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, we will be talking about the white and blue best cards from All Will Be One that are in the colors white and blue. These are these are the monocolored, these are not the multicolored guys, because that's not what we're going to do yet. Next episode will be black and red, and then it will be green and it's either going to be green and colorless or green and multicolored. Or it'll just be green. Alright, it depends how we're feeling, alright? So yeah. I'm gonna start right up. Our first card is the person whose this whole set is based around. Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines. 4 and a white for a legendary creature, Phyrexian Predator, there we go. I'm sorry if I pronounce any of these words wrong. I will probably do that. It's a 4/7 Villagins. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Permanents entering the battlefield don't cause abilities of permanents your opponents control to trigger. Now, these abilities are crazy because there are so many enter the battlefield effects, it's like outrageous. For example, a Dockside Extortionist will double the treasures for you, and if someone on the opponent's team, if your opponent played Dockside, then it would do nothing. The same is true for any of the guys who enter and get mana, so like, I think Llanowar Elves, this would cause not to trigger, and then cards like, there are many cards that cause this not to trigger. However, something I found out that would be really good in this instant would be this deck. This deck is Cat Nagathrod from the Commander Legends Dungeons and Dragons Battle for Baldur's Gate. The reason this is really good in this deck, like, not Elesh Norn, but if you're going up in Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines, then this deck basically is immortal. Because if you go the partner pairing of, I believe it's Zelix Mind Flare, and then Haunted One. Zelix is not good with Elesh Norn. I mean, it's good, but it's not the one I want to talk about. Haunted One is 2 in the black for a legendary enchantment background. Commander creatures you own have whenever this creature becomes tapped, it and other creatures you control that share a creature type with it each get +2/+0 and gain Undying until end of turn. And Undying is when a creature with Undying dies, if it had no +1/+1 counters, return it to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it, and then return it under to its owner's control. So, in other words, you basically have an immortal army as long as you get Zelix to tap. And he has a tap ability, so going up against this deck with an Elesh Norn, you basically have an immortal army for your turn, which is pretty cool in my opinion. It's very cool. But there are many abilities with Elesh Norn that would just double abilities. Now keep in mind that this is mono white. Now mono white has been getting more support over the years with sets like this set, and we have like all the sets have been giving pieces to mono white to make it more powerful, because before it'd just be like white wasn't very good at anything. It was good at exiling stuff and gaining life. And that's it. Which it's not bad, but it's not great. While blue was mainly drawing cards and, like, I don't know, taking extra turns, I guess you could say. I don't know. And then green would be playing extra mana, obviously, and getting really big creatures. Red is all about fiery die you, or direct damage, stuff like that. And then black is graveyards. So yeah, white didn't have a whole lot of stuff for this deck, but all of a sudden white gets a bunch more stuff because of this set and many others. One of these cards is not very good, but it's very good in white because it gives white some stuff that it didn't have before. I'll give you an example later on. But yeah, Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines is outrageously good. Because it just really is. And it's mono white. Mono white decks have obviously been getting more support over the years with card draw. There's the Keeper of Accord guy who gives you bodies and he gives you lands, which is good. So yeah, I just think Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines is a very powerful card against some decks. And then a very unpowerful card against a deck like this deck. Because if you went up against this deck, then you would probably be destroyed because you've got an Immortal Army on the other side of your battlefield. So yeah. Moving on, we have Mond Dorak Glory Dominus. It's 2 white for a 4/4 legendary creature, Phyrexian Horror. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. And it's 1 and Phyrexian mana. For sacrifice 2 other artifacts and or creatures, put an indestructible counter on Mond Dorak Glory of Dominus. And the Phyrexian mana can be paid with either a white or 2 life. I don't really care for the second ability. I mean, it's good, but that's not the main reason I put this for a really good card. The main reason I put this is because you basically create double tokens. Now, white has like soldiers and stuff like that, but excuse me, sorry. But there are decks that this doesn't have to be the commander that you could throw this into. Green is really good at creating tokens, as we've seen in the past. Red has goblins and dragons for tokens. Blue has spirits and stuff like that. And I think black has zombies. So if you throw this into any deck that has whites and one of those other colors that's a token creator deck, it's a must-have because then you double all your tokens. And then you, of course, can make this indestructible. And you might want to run a artifact sub-theme because if you want this thing to stick around, then you want to get use of a second ability, which is indestructible, which is pretty good. But yeah, I also don't know what an indestructible counter is, so yeah. Sorry about that. Alright. But I think that's it for this card. Yeah, you just want to create a ton of tokens in white. There's a Meridian. I don't know. It's the one mechanic that came out. By the way, last podcast episode I talked about all the mechanics. So yeah, go watch that. I did not make it yet, by the way. So I'm just going to write down right here mechanics podcast. There we go. Alright, but yeah, there's the Meridian mechanic, which basically allows you to create a 2/2 rebel, because, I don't know, it's a cool mechanic and stuff. So yeah, the next card is Norn's Wellspring, which is 1 and a white for an artifact. Whenever a creature you control dies, scry 1 and put an oil counter on Norn's Wellspring. 1 tap, remove 2 oil counters from Norn's Wellspring and draw a card. And by the way, I just want to note the flavor text. This flavor text is drown so you may breathe again, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but okay. But this card is really good because it can go in any white deck, because this is a card, 1, you can scry 1, so that helps you with it's like a quote-unquote smoother. A smoother is a card that if you need a big creature or you can basically choose. And it's like this, like any of the scries do that. As you look at the top card of your library, you look at it, you read it, and you're like, I don't need that. Or, yes, I do need that. And then you leave it on top or put it on bottom. It depends what you need. So yeah, Norn's Wellspring, good card. And, of course, you can 1-tap remove 2 oil counters from Norn's Wellspring, draw the card. This would have to go in a creature heavy deck because it revolves around creatures dying. So yeah. The next card is Phyrexian Vindicator. It's white, 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 white. So 4 white for a 5/5 creature Phyrexian horror. Flying. It basically has indestructible, only better. If damage would be dealt to Phyrexian Vindicator, prevent that damage. When damage is prevented this way, Phyrexian Vindicator deals that much damage to any other target. And then behold your inevitable defeat. Elish Norn. But yeah, this card is very good because it's practically immortal to combat damage. So yeah. But if no one wants to attack you because they're so scared that you're just going to start blowing up stuff, or murdering people, then stuff you can do is you can deal damage to this creature. So like, target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. Oh wait, no, that's not damage. My mistake. That's -1/-1 counters. Cards like, we've got Lightning Bolt. That's not in red, but still, like any cards that deal direct damage to your creatures are great. Because then you basically take that damage and you can throw it anywhere. Wait, no. Never mind. Ignore me because nope. Ugh. A good thing that I thought of would be you could take spells that say target creature deal X damage to target creature. Like deal 2 damage to target creature, deal 3 damage to target creature, whatever. Alright? And then you can convert that to any target with Phyrexian Vindicator. So that's good. But I like this guy because he's practically immortal and he can basically be, oh, you have a 20/20 coming at me. That's probably going to kill me. Great. I was blocked with Phyrexian Vindicator. Doesn't have trample, and if it does, that's not cool. But then Phyrexian Vindicator blocks it all. And then Phyrexian Vindicator deals 20 damage to, let's say, someone's health, then you're dead. Yeah, that's just, now that I think about it, that'd be pretty funny. I'm going to kill you. Nope, you're dead. What do you mean? I'm going to block with a Phyrexian Vindicator. Oh, no. But yeah, very funny card. Ha, ha, ha. Alright, our next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards are in blue. If you haven't noticed, I like blue. Oh, here's the 4 Mordian mechanic. Blade of Shared Souls. 2 in the blue for an artifact equipment. By the way, we're on blue. Whenever Blade of Souls 4 Mordian. When this equipment enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 red rebel creature token, then attach this to it. Nice. When Blade of Shared Souls becomes attached to a creature, for as long as Blade of Souls Shared Souls remains attached to it, you may have that creature become a copy of another target creature you control. So you basically get to copy your best, biggest creature. If that makes sense. So let's say you have Dockside Extortionist. I believe that would work. Because then you can Blade of Shared Souls, the 2/2, and then you can basically make... That's my watch. Hold up. Give me a quick second. Sorry, guys. Darn watch. Turn off. Thank you. Alright, Alright. But yeah, Blade of Shared Souls is really good because you basically get to create a copy of any creature you want. And I believe this would work for Dockside, because then Dockside would come in, create a number of treasures equal to the amount of stuff you control. And yeah, pretty good card. It would go in any copy deck or any deck that you want, really. So yeah, our next card is a sorcery. Blade, Blue Sun's Twilight. X, blue, for a sorcery. Gain control of target creature with mana value X or less. If X is 5 or more, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Where once there was ignorance, Jin Jit-Axe brought knowledge, and an age of progress dawned. Did I choose Jin, whatever? No, I did not. That's not good. But yeah, so basically you get to create a copy of a creature. Most likely you would be doing this for 5 blue. Let's say it's, I'll just keep using Dockside. Let's say it's a Dockside, alright? So you gain control, you can say 5 blue, even if it's not 5 mana cost, because it says 5 or less, and then if it's 5 or more, you create a token that's a copy of that creature. So yeah, that's very good in my opinion. So yeah, who doesn't want to use that card? Our next card is Distorted Curiosity. It's 2 blue for a sorcery, Corrupted. This spell costs 2 less to cast if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. And then you draw 2 cards. I like flavor text, so this card is not a card that's really good, but I mean it's good if someone has 3 or more poison counters, because then you just do blue, draw 2 cards. And blue, draw 2 cards is pretty good in my opinion. And then, yeah, so it's flavor text as free will was an illusion so perfect it fooled even me. I know better now. And that was Jace saying it, because Jace is the guy right here. We do have a Jace Planeswalker coming up. Alright, Ikarimorn Gauntlet is a 2 blue for an artifact. Planeswalkers you control have 0 proliferate and -12 take an extra turn after this one. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose a creature on target permanent, put an additional counter of that kind on that permanent. Now, this card is good because, one, you basically can take extra turns. But the reason I put this card in is because when I saw this card, I'm like, I mean, it's good, but it's not great. And I'm like, wait a second, yes, it is. The reason this card is really good is because, let's say you have a doubling season, okay? And then I think it's Ikarimorn Valoran, correct? He's that guy that doubles your counters again. So now you get quadruple your counters, okay? Which means any Planeswalker with 3 or more loyalty basically gets you an extra turn immediately. So, in my opinion, that's amazing. Alright, you can play this card, Ikarimorn Gauntlet. They're like, well, we might be in trouble. You play a Planeswalker, you -12 it, you take an extra turn. Don't take an extra turn if you aren't going to win, by the way. Another thing, it has Proliferate, which is really good because you proliferate it. And that's just really good because proliferating is another really good sub-theme in a deck like this. You would have to find some way to get Ikarimorn Gauntlet, because Ikarimorn Gauntlet is obviously a really good card, and you kind of need it if your whole entire deck revolves around. But yeah, speaking of Planeswalkers, hold up. That did not work. Alright, speaking of Planeswalkers, don't ask me why, but these 3 cards are extremely tiny, as you can see, which I did not mean to do that, but they are. And then these 3 are extremely big. This is the size I want them at. These 3 were just small for some reason. So yeah. But I think I can read that. Alright, so Jace, the Perfected Mind, is 2 blue for Phyrexian mana. For 5 loyalty Planeswalker, Legendary Planeswalker Jace. And then completed, which is Phyrexian mana. Phyrexian mana can be paid. Oh, I'm sorry. It tells you what Phyrexian mana is. Oh, wait, no, completed. So if you pay, Phyrexian mana can be paid with blue or 2 life. If life was paid, this Planeswalker enters with 2 fewer loyalty counters. When you'd want to pay the blue. Yeah, that's bad. Alright, but, Jace is +1 until your next turn. Up to 1 target creature gets -3, -0. -2 target player mills 3 cards. Then, if a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, you draw 3 cards. Otherwise, you draw a card. And then -X, target player mills 3 times X cards. So yeah, pretty good. So, I will not lie, I chose this card because I just love Jace, and Jace is a really cool Planeswalker. However, in this scenario, he's really good because you can't put him as your commander, but you could put him in a mill deck, for example, like Captain Nagathra. He would be extremely good in Captain Nagathra because Captain Nagathra revolves around milling. So if you have Jace in it, then you can basically draw cards with Jace, which is always helpful. And you can also mill someone for a ton of cards. Now, right off the bat, you can mill someone for 12 cards, because if you -4 him, if you -5 him, you can mill someone for 15 cards. But if you -5 him, then he'd be dead, which is not good. But yeah, I just really like Jace. So yeah, moving on, we have Mercuria Spelldancer. 1 and a blue for a creature Phyrexian Rogue. 2/1. Mercurial Spelldancer can't be blocked. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on Mercurial Spelldancer. When Mercurial Spelldancer deals combat damage to a player, you may remove 2 oil counters from it. If you do, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell for this current copy of that spell, you may choose new targets for that copy. Now, when I immediately saw this card, I'm like, great, you can draw extra cards if you want to, or you can destroy 2 things if you have, like, a Terminate or something like that. But then I'm like, or you can take 2 extra turns. Now, the reason I say this is because it can't be blocked, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on this card. So, you would want to put this card in a completely non-creature based deck, basically. And you just want to play a ton of non-creature cards to get a bunch of oil counters. And then when it deals combat damage to a player, remove 2 oil counters from it. I think you may, right? Yeah, you may remove 2 oil counters from it. And if you do, you basically copy your next spell. And if that next spell is something like an extra turn spell, or a Terminate, or I don't know. But, like, the card that I immediately thought of was something like an extra turn spell. That's what I thought of immediately. Because extra turns in this deck would be very good. And any deck is very good. Alright? Great. Moving on, we have Mindspace Arpaditis, which is 3 in the blue for an artifact. Flash. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on Mindspace Arpaditis. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each oil counter on Mindspace Arpaditis. Now, this card is good, but not good. It's good because you basically at some point can cast all your spells for just the colored mana cost, which is good, but it's going to take a while to get there, which is why there are ways to speed up this process, like Proliferating, always a good card. There are cards also that proliferate multiple times. I'm pretty sure there's a commander somewhere out there that revolves around proliferating. You just want to have a proliferate instant sorcery deck. because then you basically create a bunch of instants and sorceries. Your opponent can't do anything about it, and you're like, ha 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 ha. So yeah, Mindspace Opera Dice. Great card. Moving on, we have a simple draw card. Tomokio's Logbook, I believe. 2 in the blue for an artifact. 5 blue, tap, draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to cast for each other artifact you control. I like this card because I think it's obvious you draw cards, right? And at some point, I'm assuming you just pay blue, tap, draw a card. Which is good. Very good, if you haven't noticed. So yeah, I don't have much more to say about this card. I just liked it because it involves drawing the card. Next card is Tecuthal Inquiry Dominus. 2 blue for a 3/5 legendary creature, Phyrexian Horror. Flying. If you would proliferate twice instead. I've talked about proliferating it a lot. Proliferating is good. I would have just chosen this guy if it just had this guy. Like if it just had this text. But it has more. 1 Phyrexian mana for 2 Phyrexian mana, by the way. Remove 3 counters from among other artifact creatures. Other artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers you control. Put an indestructible counter on Tectoria Inquiry Dominus. Make it indestructible. Why not? You're doubling. You proliferate twice. If a card says proliferate twice, then you proliferate 4 times. That would get that -12 ability of, it's down there, take an extra turn way quicker, which is always good. So who doesn't want to do that? This card is amazing. Alright, next card, and it has flying, by the way, so this card is stacked. Next card is another legendary creature, and our last card, Uncutus Grand Media Chiquette, I think. I definitely got that wrong. 1 blue for a 2/4 legendary artifact creature, Phyrexian Vindicator. Vindicane. I don't know. Other blue creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. Who doesn't want to draw cards and discard cards? Artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. Once again, good. And Phyrexian mana. Until end of turn, target creature you control. Until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a blue artifact in addition to its other types. Its other colors and types activate only as a sorcery, and then Phyrexian mana can be paid with either blue or 2 life. So, obviously, it would be good if he said other blue creatures you control have tap, draw a card, then discard a card. But we can't all get what we wish for, so next best thing is just when this creature becomes tapped. Now, tapping can happen when you attack, always good. Can happen a number of ways too, but this is the. I think attacking is the main way. I mean, if they have a tap ability, that would be good too. So it's just more ways to draw a ton of cards, and then other artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. Good. And then you just create a blue artifact creature. So yeah, all in all, I can't say I'm disappointed with these blue and white cards. I mean, yeah, white and blue cards. They're very good. Next up will be a black and red theme. I do not have those cards picked yet, but I will hopefully have those guys picked within the next few days. By the time you're watching this, the other episode has already came out that I haven't even recorded, which is you will never guess it. I'm going to tell you anyway. It's the mechanics. The mechanics will come out before this episode is out. It will be a podcast episode. It will be a short one, probably only 10-20 minutes, because I'm just talking about. I just knocked over my box. I will only be talking about mechanics real quick. And yeah. Also, I don't know about you guys, but in my opinion, when looking over this video, I saw that this that you guys couldn't see the table. So if you guys do want to see the table, just let me know. I think I can make that work. I think I might have to shift a few things around, but I think that may work. So yeah, comment that if you think so, and join my Discord, please. I want to talk about more Magic the Gathering cards with you, because Magic the Gathering is cool. And if you watch this episode the whole way through, then you probably like Magic the Gathering. If you don't like Magic the Gathering, I don't know why you're here, but I'm not complaining that you're here. And that's all. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye.